motion to We're ready? As mayor, I'll call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Martin?
Here.
Riley?
Here.
Schneider?
Here.
Sofa?
Here.
Stoops?
Here.
Wilson?
Here.
Sukas? Here.
Non-agenda items from the sidelines that did not receive anything. City administration, Donna? Jamie?
Towards the end of the month, everybody can plan on looking for their assessment change notices. So it's the opportunity to reevaluate your assessments, and if you want an opportunity to come to the board of review, that's the time to do it. So just be aware of that, and if you have any questions, certainly call me.
What's the deadline?
It's 14 days before the board of review, so it's a statutory deadline. Plan towards the end of the month. If you haven't received it by the end of February, then give me a call.
Thank you. Chief?
January, we had a very busy month. In 31 days, we did 31 reports, which kind of everybody said it was really quiet here. We had a very unusual month, had a lot of different kinds of runs. So far, February's starting out slow. Our cars did come in. They're being set up and striped and emergency lights right now. So I'm hoping to get them in like 2 to 3 weeks. And stand up, Bruce. This is Bruce Galecki. He's going to be our new officer. Donna's swearing him in Monday. He passed his background. He comes with over 10 years of experience at the Wayne County Sheriff as an officer, corrections. So he's got a lot of experience, like when we hired Todd, which is great. He also, for 5 years before that, he worked for the Michigan Department of Corrections. He lives in Clinton Township, so he's not that far. Just jump on the freeway, come up, and he's willing to work any hours we can throw at him. So that's huge. That's what I'm looking for. So I'll start training him next week. He'll be with me for a week to see what experience, and then he'll go on afternoons with the guys. And then at that point, I hope to have him by himself March 1st. So,
Welcome, Bruce.
thank you, folks.
Is there any amendments to the agenda? If not, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Support.
Are you putting the chamber in? Or?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Come on up, Tammy.
Why don't you put that in?
Yeah, just let us vote.
Okay, Riley?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Sofa?
Yes.
Stoops?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Sukas? Yes. Martin?
Yes.
Okay, for January, I know this is February, but the Memphis Chamber of Commerce voted the Sage Creek Winery as the business of the month for January. We did have them on the board, and they did have some specials, and they had a lot of business out there. So I wanted to give them the opportunity, since they weren't able to come in January, to come up and tell you a little bit about their business. So I have Vince here from Sage Creek Winery.
Yeah, my name is Vince Hutchins, and me and 2 friends bought the winery back in October. And I'm a 20-year Army vet. My friend was Navy, so that's kind of a vet. But we're very excited to be here, and it was kind of a surprise because none of us are wine drinkers. But when we got up here and just looked at the winery, what Jim and Sherry had in Memphis, we said, yeah, we'd love to do this. So what we plan on doing is just continue to do what Jim and Sherry did, which is just make good wine and do what we can for the community. And we're very thankful to be here.
And what are some other things that you're offering in the winery?
We also sell coffee, and we're doing various events, like Teachers Appreciation Night, which is on February 16th, and we hope to have a fundraiser for them. We did a vets fundraiser earlier this year, and we're even having a psychic night. So we're doing whatever we can, and we're just glad to be a part of the community. Thank you.
Here you go.
Thanks, Tammy.
Yep.
Hopefully you've all had a chance to look over the minutes from January 16th. Was there any questions? If not, we'll take a motion.
Motion to accept the minutes of January 16, 2018 is presented.
Support. Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Stoops,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Zukas. Yes. Martyr,
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Presentation and approval of January disbursements report of $341,469 and electronic wire transfers of $7,457.79. Is there any questions? And then I'll take a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the disbursements and the wire transfers for 7 months. Support.
Sofa,
Yes.
Stoops,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Zukas. Yes. Martyr,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes. Okay, from the Memphis Library Board of Trustees.
Communication.
Oh, I'm sorry. Get a motion to place on file?
I'll make a motion to place them on.
Support. Stoops,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Zukas. Yes. Martyr,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa.
Yes.
We have a communication here from the Memphis Library Board of Trustees to please reappoint Barb Garber, Rick Kerner, and Kim Gershow to the Library Board for the term to expire in October of 2020. I do appreciate them giving their service to the Library Board. Can I get a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion to reappoint Barb Garber, Rick Kerner, and Kim Gershaw to the board.
Support.
Wilson,
Yes.
Zukas.
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Stoops.
Well, we got you under communications. Brad, why don't you come on up and take the podium? Thanks for coming.
No problem.
You have the floor.
Excuse me. Thanks for having me in tonight. Wanted to just discuss with you the summer tax levy that the school board passed back in December. It was a levy that, or a change in tax collection that's a benefit to the schools. It's been going on since, I want to say, '94 when they went and changed the way funding happens for schools. We haven't always had to borrow as much as we do now, but as payroll goes up, our borrowing goes up. This past year, we borrowed about $1.6 million. With the interest rate, we end up paying out just over $18,000 in interest. So changing to a summer tax levy will allow us to reduce that greatly, that borrowing amount and the interest rate, and hopefully eliminate it here in the next 2 years. So we've reached out, and part of the process is to make sure all the townships and cities are willing to collect that tax for us during the summer. The normal taxes in the winter, when it's done during the winter, there's no cost to the district. However, when you move it to the summer as a special collection, there would be a cost, depending on what the city would like to do. So right now, we're just looking for that. It is definitely a benefit for the district, just in the savings that we can have with it. If you guys have any questions.
Do we have any questions?
Why now?
We kind of kept looking at it and saying, well, how long do we wait? Is it, if we just kind of keep waiting? We've looked, over the past 5 years, it's been over $14,000 in interest. Next year, we're at that point too, where there's a borrowing cap from the state. So there's a state borrowing that we go and use that is a very low interest. And if we had to borrow more, we had a higher interest rate. So we got to that point where we had to do it to help save the district some more money and not take out more interest or more debt.
So this is being caused because of the proposal A in 1994?
Just the way the funding happens. So when everything changed back then, from millages and local millages, the state foundation grants that were paid per pupil, they dispersed that over 11 of the 12 months. So there's no payment in September. So it causes us to have a real big dip in our cash flow. So we had to borrow money every year to make sure that cash flow is there. This summer tax collection, when it's coming in, is going to be when we're at our lowest cash flow. So it'll cover that.
So how long have we been borrowing this money?
As far as I know, 15 years. So it's something that, it's very common that the districts borrow for cash flow. There's 540 some districts, and I think over 200 of them are borrowing. In our area, a lot of schools have started moving to the summer tax collection. The ones that I don't know Richmond are made of, but Yale does not, Marysville does. Richmond does. So it's very common practice. It is a tough thing because of how it happens. You had a winter tax, And now in 7 months, you're gonna see a summer tax. There's no increase in taxes. It's just the time of year that it's gonna hit for everybody.
Yeah, the total tax for the school system right now is 6.25 mils. And now, by transferring that, then actually then you're indicating then you save approximately up to $18,000 a year borrowing cost. And this would then correspond so that your budgets would correspond as how you collect the money. So it wouldn't necessarily then to borrow then to get through the school year. That's the whole behind
That's
those.
the goal, is that we do not have to borrow at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I did a few just home values and so on, but if you had a home value of about 100,000 and a taxable value of 50, it'd be approximately a little over $300 what that tax would be.
Right.
So, and the only drawback I see is that it for 1 year, there would in a sense be that double taxation. From then on, of course, it'd be no difference.
That's correct.
And as far as the city of Memphis, we have a winter tax and summer tax anyway, so it isn't like we are creating another billing cycle. Because
correct.
we already have, and I hope the townships, I don't think, do that. I think they more of a strictly in the winter, I believe.
It would really depend, like Richmond Township, because they're
I know.
collecting for Richmond schools also.
Yeah.
Riley, I wouldn't think so, because I don't believe CAPEC does a summer
Yeah.
tax, so it just depends on what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, well, and of course, the only drawback is that, as far as I'm concerned, it wouldn't affect, I mean, if I gotta pay it, I gotta pay it regardless, but I know some people on very limited income, it could create a problem at one time only, but I think saving that much interest is significant for a school system, as it would be for us. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I have mixed feelings about it, but I think probably it should be approved, but that's just my opinion, so.
Well, I think with the knowledge of it, you can plan on it. That's just a matter of planning it.
Right.
You're just planning, paying it 5 or 6 months early, so.
And it's not doubling anything. You
It's not.
only paid, in the winter, you paid your 2017 taxes towards the school. You're gonna pay your 2018 taxes. So you're not doubling anything. It's just you're having two payments that are closer together. But the one thing, if you could make it a little clear, like there's a deferment form or something like that.
Yeah.
Could you clear that up a little bit as to, who may qualify and what type of help they could get? Because, those are the ones that I'm, most worried about, people who are, check to check.
Yeah, so if you go on the Michigan Department of Treasury website, you can print off the form. It's a one-pager, it's a very easy form. And for deferment, so somebody over 62 years of age, anybody that's paraplegic, quadriplegic, service person, veteran, blind, and then permanently disabled, and then there's also one for agricultural realty. So,
Low income, is there low income levels or anything like that?
yes, it could not exceed 40,000.
We have them forms at the city
Yeah,
too.
the forms that
They can
city
come right
does.
here and get them.
Yep.
And what does that do? Just gives them longer time to pay it?
So what it would do is instead
So
of
they can pay their summer taxes in the winter?
in the winter, yeah. So we just push it off to that.
All right.
As long as they meet that criteria.
That's correct.
Jamie? Just to give you a little bit of background, this is something that, for the same reasons counties did and were required to, back when Jennifer Granholm was the governor. And counties transitioned over to a summer billing of the collection for county millages in 3 parts. What they did is they phased it over 3 years. So for the same reasons, interest and how their budget cycles work, the state wanted to collect the money sooner to offset the interest charges that they were paying. Because they also were, in terms of revenue sharing, they were doing the same thing. So what the school district is asking is consistent with what the counties have already done. And everybody in the state for counties is on the same cycle. The other thing I would suggest is that, as I announced earlier, that the assessment change notices are going out. It wouldn't be a bad idea if the school district had maybe a 1-page flyer that they could supply. We could send that with the assessment change notices at no additional mailing cost to our taxpayers, and we can include that as an insert that can help inform them, especially with escrows. maybe notifying their mortgage companies. Because escrow balancing typically happens for most companies in the spring. So they reevaluate what the taxes are. So this is a good time to send that out, and also maybe to notify our mortgage collection companies the list that we have through the treasurer's office, so that they can be aware of those collections. Otherwise, it can create a little bit of a ripple in the collection cycles and readjusting and getting notices from your mortgage company that you're behind. You know, they're always adjusting and they're always changing. So this would be a great opportunity to do that with the assessment change notice. We'd be glad to do that. We need about 550 of them.
And that's what I would suggest too, is some sort of information campaign that makes it very clear to the people in layman's terms exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. And I talked to a mortgage lady in my office today, and she said, you know, even with escrows, if there is some outstanding, what they'll do generally is, even, you know, if it doesn't cover it, they can spread it out over the year in your payments, so it'll break it down to, you know, very little amount, and then when the next year comes around, you'll actually have a surplus and you'd get a return.
Great, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll forward that on. I'll be doing the stuffing and the folding, so
Okay.
I don't mind helping you, but that helps our taxpayers.
Absolutely.
And I would suggest that you contact the other communities that are within your school district and see if the assessors are okay with that idea of including it, because this would be the time to do it.
Okay.
And then also to contact the treasurers outside of Memphis, because we're already aware of it, to notify those mortgage companies. And if everybody's on board, it makes the whole transition easier.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Brad's not shied away from it. He's given out his personal phone number for anybody who wants to talk about it. So it's out there. If somebody does have more questions about it, I'm sure they can contact him or through the school's website, which is memphisk12.org.
Now, it's a 6 mil increase roughly when we look at, but when we talk about businesses, the personal property, and also the real property on the business, there's an additional 18 mils. The school operating, just under that. Wouldn't be bad to include that with the notice, because we'll be sending it to everybody, commercial, industrial, as well as personal property. So that's a little bit, businesses handle a little better anyways, but it would be a great courtesy to extend to them.
Anybody else have any more questions? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
We need to make a motion to open the public hearing, I believe. Yeah, go ahead.
Make a motion that we approve the school tax of 6.25 from the new tax incentive.
Support?
Lucas? Yes. Smarter?
Yes.
Riley?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Sofa?
Yes?
Stoops?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Okay, now we need a motion to open.
Make a motion that we open the public hearing for the allocation of the 2018 CDBG funds.
Support?
Smarter?
Yes.
Riley?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Sofa?
Yes?
Stoops?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Larry, I'll let you,
I think, is there anyone here, because you're new, you look different than what you see over here. So what, you'd like to speak, so.
Yeah,
go
that's
ahead.
okay. I do have some information if I can pass it around.
you have the floor.
Thank you for having me. My name is Lisa Latouche. I'm from Care House. So Care House is the Macomb County Child Advocacy Center located in Mount Clemens. We're one of 34 accredited child advocacy centers in Michigan, and we serve over 53 counties. and we're also one of over 800 in the United States. Through referrals from law enforcement or Children's Protective Services, our services are focused on child victims of sexual and physical abuse and their families, and we provide services to over 800 families a year. So we collaborate with all law enforcement jurisdictions in Macomb County, Children's Protective Services, and then also the prosecutor's office and mental and medical professionals. And our goals are to minimize the stress and trauma associated with child abuse investigations and to provide support to begin the healing process. Over 1 million children in this country suffer from abuse and neglect each year. And before Care House opened in 1996, children and families in Macomb County with concerns of possible sexual or physical abuse had to navigate a maze of unfamiliar and scary places. And this required a child to relive the details over and over again, and it added more trauma to the already traumatized child. So Care House is a child-friendly place. It's family-centered, and we coordinate the investigation and the support services. So everyone involved in the child abuse investigation will meet and gather at Care House, and they'll observe the forensic interview, and the trained interviewer on staff meets one-on-one with the child in a room, and this reduces the trauma so the child doesn't have to repeat his or her story over and over again. So after the forensic interview, Care House also offers follow-up services for the child victims, and our support services include crisis counseling, support groups, and trauma-focused therapy sessions. We also offer child abuse prevention information, education, and training for the community. And we're excited to announce that it's our 22nd year of providing services, and we're outgrowing our space in Mount Clemens, so we're also opening up a satellite center in Warren. And since our doors opened in 1996, we provided services to over 6,400 children, and 8 of them have been residents of Memphis. And we respectfully request consideration for funding this year for $600, and this would support services for one child victim and their family that resides in Memphis. So thank you for your time, and do you have any questions?
Your Care House has been, I think, approached us over the years many times, and in the past we've not distributed to them because we've had money that we had to spend right in the city itself, but this time we could possibility for money, because basically what you said today is, we've heard, most of us have heard that before, so, and I think you do, what you do is for a very good cause.
Thank you. Can I speak also, at my last job I worked the police department, I was in our detective bureau, and we dealt with Care House all the time, and what would happen is an officer would get an interview, and rather than doing that, they'd set up a Care House interview. Our officer would stay outside, the trained professional would interview them, and if they thought there was enough, they would go after them. They also didn't push the kids to admit to something. There were some cases where they couldn't prove enough, so they're very invaluable. I'd hate to see it go back to where a detective or a midnight officer are interviewing these little kids. They're especially trained, and they're well worth it. They're well worth having. Thank you.
I'll make a motion when we close the public session.
Support.
Riley? Schneider?
Yes.
Stofa?
Yes.
Stoops?
Yeah.
Wilson? Zukas?
Yes.
Martyr?
Yes.
I did have a question about the chore program, Larry.
Yes.
Could you explain it a little better?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we have $10,000 that was allocated, but $300 is already allocated towards the chore program. The chore program is a program that a resident can apply for, and such as snow removal and sort of like that. I think we have a couple residents in town that already do that. So I'm not sure what the qualifications are for that, but I'm sure it's more allocated towards low-income people. And we don't control that. That is controlled by the Macomb Community Action Program, and they control that. And when when the money's allocated, that's already taken out. So what we have tonight is $9,700 to allocate. So, but any resident can apply for that. And what we have right now is that such as care program, we can allocate up to, I think the balance is $2,200. 25% of the allocation is between the chore program and charity or institutions like yours. So that's what we have tonight. And so we've got a memo there that which I made up, and there's two things that I discussed, and I discussed this with the mayor and the board already. But the one is the elevator that we thought about putting over in the community center. And you look at the spreadsheet there, and it's the elevator itself. I got a quote, is about $16,800. And William Vogel Associates, the architect, would have to actually draw up a print and so on, and actually he would be the one that would oversee the whole program. And so his estimate is about $3,500. And as you notice, the extra things that we have to do in there, so that it comes up to $22,700. And the CBG would be $9,700, so it would be about $13,000. Now, as you know, in the past, our experience with CBG fund allocation and how we've allocated has not been very successful, other than when we did the roads, at which time we got about between $30,000 and $35,000 a year, and then it was cut down to $7,500. We had two projects that over there, the ramp, which we quoted that, and that came in, only one quote came in at $65,000, which was, in my opinion, about, it should have came in somewhere around 25 at the max. And so we couldn't do that program, and then we allocated the funds for a handicap door both at the community center and the youth center. And that went out, and we got no quotes on that whatsoever. And the cost to the city for allocating that, for the administration of it, was somewhere around $5,000 or just slightly over. And so that was money that was actually lost. So I'm somewhat reluctant to doing that again this year. And and I've discussed this with the mayor already in Bart. What I'm thinking that we should probably allocate it to organizations such as CARE, and the balance of it to what program that they call minor home repair. And minor home repair is a program where individuals in the city or residents that meet certain criteria can then apply for a minor home repair. And I think there's in the packet I give there's certain things that they can do on that. And minor home repair of broken or deteriorated steps, broken sidewalks, decking material, gutters and downspouts, damaged siding, damaged skirting, waterproof coating of flat roofs, damaged flashing, damaged shingles. I'm not going to go all through all these, but as you can see, there's various things that can apply for that. This program is not administrated by us, it's administrated by, again, the Macomb County Action Committee. And the criteria that they have to meet is they have to be senior citizens, age 60 or older, severely disabled, mobile home occupant, and a resident of Memphis. It's $500, and then they administrate it, and that's 20% or $100. So actually, it's $600 of the funds we have, and that's how it would be allocated. So that's kind of what I'm recommending, but it's up to council as a whole. So I try to answer the questions if you have any.
I have a question. Is this pay for it and get reimbursed for it, sort of a thing, or they pay for it?
No, they administer the whole thing, the telephone number, they call, and they handle it, they pay for it. and
They send the contractor to and everything?
everything. They control everything. That's what that 20% that pays them to do it. So, okay. And I got the phone number here someplace, I think. If I can find it.
And you don't want to do the elevator because you think,
I just think,
It would fall through the
well,
cracks again?
I think this year, this is what we should do with it. I think we've struck out twice. I'm trying to do something with these small amount of money. When we got 30 or 35,000 a year, we also could do that under a multiple year. Like we could, if we could accumulate a couple of years, do it, and if it was another year, then we could pay for it and get reimbursed. Those days are gone. They want that money, they allocate it for 1 year, they want it spent, and that year, well, in this case, it would be the end of 2019, but it won't, these funds won't be available till later this year. So, any other questions on that? Good.
Is there any guidelines as far as how much we can give to a charity?
We can only, no, as long as we don't go over the $2,200.
Got one in mind?
Pardon?
You got one in mind?
Well, no, okay, is it on the
You have to be certified
Yes, you
as a
do.
charity in order to receive the
Yeah.
Community Development Block Grant.
501c3? Or,
No,
No,
you,
no,
it's a little
it's
different.
I got them
Maybe
right,
next year.
I got them right here.
oh, there is?
There's certain ones.
There's a list.
There's a
Oh,
list,
okay.
and if you're not on the list, you can't do it.
is Care House on it?
Pardon, your care house is definitely on, yeah. The care house has been on for years. I've been out here 20 years, and I think they've been out here, not every year, but almost, so. Is there any more questions there?
No, I think we probably need to maybe do the chore thing and then have a committee
No.
figure out the,
No, the chore's already done.
it's already a done deal with the C.
It's already done. That's already taken care of. Yeah, that's done by by them themselves, and that's already been allocated.
All they have to do is call, right? All the people have to do is call?
Yeah, and if I can find the phone
Well,
number.
they've always had that senior housing, haven't they?
Pardon?
Haven't they always had that chore?
Yes, they have. That's been on here, that's been on here for years.
You know, was that just basic household type stuff, chores?
For $500.
Yeah.
$500 worth of chores?
Or no, I'm sorry, that's
No.
the
It's
minor
that
repair.
list. That's,
Is there any other questions then?
Did you get some numbers in mind already, Larry?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I do.
I had a question.
I think what, they're asking for 600, but I don't think they mind if we give them a little more.
That would be great.
Well, and you have to, I have to do this in sort of in 600 increments, that's what's got to be left. So what I'm recommending then, that we allocate $1,300 to care and $8,400 for minor home repair. That's what I'm allocating, if that's okay. And 8,400 allocated then for the minor home repair means actually 14 residents that could apply. And we don't know, maybe no one will apply, but this will be advertised. They'll advertise it in the Voice. Because there is an ad that went in, I don't know, a month or two ago for other cities in the area or town. I think, I can't remember them all. Alameda, I think, was one, maybe Cape Cod was one. There was quite a few in the area that was in that ad. And by the way, they pay for that. And of course, what they'd like us to do is actually to try to inform the public as well.
Reach out.
Right, reach out, yeah, and I think we can inform the public by, in the TV, on Channel 6, I
Yeah.
believe it is.
We can.
Yeah, and I think we're informing the public now. I'm sure this is advertised, or I mean, this is televised. And I've already contacted Barb. Maybe I'm trying to see if she might do an article on it as well, so that we can get it out to the public. So, and I thought I had that phone number here someplace that they can apply, but.
If there's any left over.
Yeah, this is the ad right here. So that we placed there, and we got Armada Township, Armada Village, Mount Pleasant, New Haven, Shelby Township, and Wilson Township.
See, Larry,
Yes,
if there's any left over, what happens to it if people don't?
it's recaptured. It's
Goes back to
recaptured.
their fund, or does the city get it to?
No, city, no. The city, it's recaptured by them, and then it's probably allocated out to something later on or something. And I've got once this is done, I have another one I can do too. So
Would that affect what we might get next year?
no.
It's based on population.
That's it. So is there any other questions? If there's not, then I may make a motion to that effect. That's okay?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Then I make a motion then that we allocate the 2018 CBG funds of $9,700 as follows. The $8,400 to minor home repair and $1,300 to the care organization.
Support.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Stoops,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Zukas,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Thanks, Larry. I know
Okay.
you spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah. Well, it's,
You too, Don. I know you spent a lot of time on the phone.
yeah, we're
Chasing Larry around.
Well, she does,
Typing up memos.
she does email, and I do telephone calls, so, and he does take my telephone calls, so.
Thank you.
And, let's see. Did I have-
One more spreadsheet in there or no?
I've always got questions, but no. Well, I'll try to find it, but when we continue on it, there was something else I couldn't make, but I can do it at the end.
Okay. Police Department, part-time officers pay. Chief?
The officers were currently making $14.50 an hour. From my understanding, they were raised from $14 an hour to $14.50. There was not enough at the time with the budget, so the last chief discussed with the mayor and the union especially that they would look at giving a 50-cent raise up to $15. The mayor and I and the union and Terry Blunt, the union rep, met and agreed that we'd like to give them a raise of 50 cents up to $15 an hour. When we're trying to hire these officers and trying to get good people that have experience, and the smaller departments around us are running anywhere, the lowest pay I've seen is $15, and our Almont's paying $19 an hour. So I mean, we're trying to keep up because then we get good applicants. I figured it out, and I run during the week trying to get more, but as of right now, we run 62 hours a week of patrolmen here. That's not counting my time, I'm not in that. So it'll be, if we do the raise for 52 weeks, it'll add an additional $1,600 to my budget, so it's not, I mean, I'll be able to find that in the budget. It's not like I'm gonna come for more money, I've got that, but it's not a drastic amount where it really helps me to get people that are on par with other departments.
We discussed it when Cal was still chief, and at that time, we wanted to go to $15, but we sort of wanted to wait and see where we were at halfway through the budget year, and we sat down and discussed it, and we're doing good on our budget this year. Actually, we're going to change a little bit the way the hours work with our school liaison officer, so that's actually going to save us a little bit of money.
Right, the school will be paying his total time because he's going down on his Social Security, so I'll cover his hours, so we're gonna be saving some money in our budget that we can use towards that. And that's already been agreed with.
And Chief and I discussed the budget, and I think it can be handled within the budget, so I don't think that'll be.
Yep. Everybody have any questions or concerns? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the increase in cents for the police.
Sofa,
Yes.
Stoops,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Lucas,
Yes.
Martyr, Riley,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Thank you for the officers.
You're welcome. Okay, City of Memphis Administrative Memo number 5 of 2017-2018. So we need to transfer some money from capital outlay to the fire department to cover our 6 thermal imaging cameras. Robbie, did you have anything on this? or-
Nope, just, we talked about that last time, Marjorie.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll make that motion that we do the,
Anybody have any questions or anything?
Stoops,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Lucas,
yes.
Martyr, Riley,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa.
Yes.
I have nothing tonight. Sure. Nothing for me. Larry?
Okay, yes.
Found on our spreadsheet, did you?
No, this is something, but the minor home repair, phone number is 586-469-6329, and Simone is a contact person on that.
Could you say the number again one more time?
Oh, it's 586-469-6329.
And when can they start calling?
Well, I would wait until probably mid-year, because I don't think these funds are going to be available until later this year. Traditionally, usually September, but, okay, and then the other one I have, and this is also, Michael asked me if I would kind of advertise a little bit on this. And this here, and the funds are available now, I think on a first-come basis, but, and it's a Macomb County Housing Rehab Program. And there's a comprehensive one that's up to $40,000, and there's a limited one that's up to $15,000. And these are people that probably can't afford to update their house, and they need some work done on it. And there's no interest on the loan. It's actually in a form of probably, I'm using this terminology whether it's correct, I'm not sure what they call it, but it's a payments deferred, so I assume it's like a lien on the property, and then when the house changes or ownership or transferred or paid or whatever, then that's payable. But for low-income people, it allowed them then to stay in their home, repair it, and stay there, and then it'd be paid at the end when they sell the house and so on. And the phone number for that is 586-466-6256.
What's the name of it?
It's the Macomb County Housing Rehabilitation Program. That's the name of it. And so, and that is available now. And there's and I'm sure there's different criteria that they have to meet on that too. But again, that's not handled by us. That's handled by them. So we have
Through the county, right? And that's just for Macomb County people then?
No, that's only for
Okay.
residents of Memphis.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's just for us.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Ken?
Would that cover people in St. Clair County in Memphis, or just Macomb County in
I
Memphis?
did ask them that, and as of today, I don't have a definitive answer on that. They're checking into that now.
No, I don't know.
Robin?
No, thank you.
Scott? Jason?
I have nothing except for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.